photographing the way I do, but with my colors, this will change everything.
I got to see each frame, each position of its wing, and they're so beautiful that I have never seen before.
Being able to move quickly and working at my brain's pace and getting those shots in the moment. Having this camera allows you to go out and create the way you want to create.
Until you use it, you cannot even imagine what you have missed.
It's something I've never seen before in my entire life. It's something totally different.
Nikon Z6 III. Outperform.
Introducing ISO Color Edge. Precision is essential for any professional working with images. Whether you're an artist, a retoucher, or a visual effects specialist, you need to know that what you see at the start of a project is precisely what you'll get at the end. Color Edge monitors give consistent, reliable accuracy that guarantee no surprises within your color workflow. So what you see in real life is what you see on screen, and what you see on screen is what you see in real life. That's precisely why professionals all over the world trust ISO Color Edge for their image creation. ISO Color Edge. Discover living, breathing color.
I'm Mark Rizzetto from the Professional Photography Business Network.
A vibrant community from all around the world who's here to supercharge your business growth.
This is not an expensive one-size-fits-all course.
The PPBN is a network, an online educational platform with training and resources to suit everyone,
from those just starting out to the seasoned pros.
You can tailor your journey to suit your individual business needs and challenges, all at your own pace.
And there's new content added every week. But success is only part of the experience.
To us, community is super important, as we all know business can be lonely.
So join us today. PPBN is your unfair advantage. Let's do this.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the judging of the creative category for the 2026 Australian Photographic Prize. Thanks for joining us. I cannot wait to get to some amazing creative images today. It's going to be great. So my name's Chris Anderson. I'm the Director of Judging for the Australian Photographic Prize. I'm here on behalf of our competition director, Daniel Bingham. We have Nathan, our broadcast producer, on duty today, and we also have Mel Sinclair, who's our scribe, and you're going to see and hear from her quite a lot today, as well as being the director of judging. I'm your panel mentor for this session, so I'm going to keep things rolling along. Now, Australian Photographic Prize, one of really important that we have these sponsors that make everything possible for us. So we want to thank them for their contributions. Our major sponsor, Nikon Australia, thank you so much. They're awarding our overall Australian winner with Nikon product valued up to $5,000, which is not bad. So, congratulations in the future to our overall winner. AZO is also providing our Australian runner-up with a prize of a Color Edge CS 2731, valued at $2,000. AZO make excellent equipment. I've got one right here. So that's for editing your work, nothing's better. And also thank you to the Professional Photographers Business Network. PPBN are giving our international winner is going to get a 12-month membership to PPBN. That's worth $1,000. So we have excellent prizes on offer. Now, today we're here to judge the top 33 images in the creative category. We judge top 30. Sometimes there's a tie for 30th place. There was quite a tie for 30th place. So we've got 33 images today. We've got 10% more than normal. The creative category is very open. Images in the creative category may be of any subject and in any photographic genre. And the post-production rules are open post-production rules. So they're very permissive. Everything needs to be photographic and everything done by the photographer. No computer generated stuff, no AI stuff, but it's pretty open. So you can see the rules on the website if you want to have a little bit of a look. Now, in our session today, we've got an expert panel of judges. They're going to look at every single image. They're going to score each image out of 100. We'll have at least a comment for each image. And in some cases, if we have some judges where their score, or a judge where their score is a bit different to the average, they might choose to challenge. So we'll discuss the image in more detail before we rescore. Now, when our session is complete today, we're going to move to closed door judging, where the panel is going to deliberate to determine the winner of the Australian category from the highest scoring images. Now, if you're really excited about finding out who wins, you can join us on the 13th of August, where we're going to announce the first, second, and third place for Australian entrants in this category, as well as the winning international image. So that's going to be an amazing ceremony, actually. And our judges do not know who wins the category when they come out of that. So even they're curious and want to find out. So I'm going to introduce you to those judges pretty soon. Before we do that, though, we're going to do a quick slideshow and we're going to look at the top 33 image in creative. So Mel Sinclair, take it away. All right, this is going to be a fantastic category to judge today. Judges, I hope you're super keen. While our judges, we've got a little bit of homework for our judges to do behind the scenes. And while they're doing that, we're going to go to them one by one to introduce themselves. And Chris Saunders, you know we're going alphabetically, and I'm starting with you. So why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name's Chris Saunders. That's Chris with a C, spelled properly. And I'm joining you from Western Australia, originally from London, and I'm a master photographer with the NZIPP and really enjoy aerial and landscape photography. And yeah, look forward to judging the images shortly.
Awesome, Chris. I'm not going to let you forget that one. I'm going to sting you when it hurts. Craig Turner Bullock, you're next.
Morning, everyone. I'm Craig Turner Bullock. I am based in Christchurch, New Zealand. I'm from Guernsey in the Channel Islands originally. I'm a pet photographer. I've been doing that since 2001, and I'm a Grandmaster with NZIPP.
Awesome. Thanks, Craig. Farouk, you're up next.
Good morning, everyone. I am Furur Yavari. I'm based in Melbourne, and it was freezing this morning. I was outside with my cat at 6:30. Lots of fun. I'm a fine art portrait and fashion photographer, and also I'm an artist too. My work is mostly focused on women, taking portrait of women, lots of headshots, artist headshots, corporate shots, and also lots of fashion and beauty. Yeah, that's me. And I'm so excited to judging your amazing images.
Thanks for Harriet. Let's go to you next.
Hi everyone, I'm Harriet. I'm coming in from Melbourne today. I'm a photographic educator and I run an organization called Photo Collective where we bring community together and celebrate all things photography. I also have a podcast called When Harry Met Sally, and again, that's about bringing community together and talking about all things photography. So I'm pretty obsessed. I'm also a commercial photographer and when I have the time for it, a photographic artist as well. So looking forward to seeing your work today.
Thanks, Harriet. You're one of the busiest people I know. I don't know how you have time to take photos, but that's really cool. Johan, let's go to you next.
Hi, my name's Johan. I'm from New Zealand, also in Christchurch. I photograph all sorts of things, mainly people and buildings. And this creative category looks like a really interesting challenge. It's so varied and I'm very excited about being a judge in this category now.
Awesome. Thanks, Johan. Lisa Kurtz.
Hi everyone, it's Lisa Kurtz here. I'm a Brisbane Meanjin-based photo video projection artist, and I'm a graduate of the Queensland College of Art. My own art practice explores ideas of memory, place, and time. This would have to be, I think, one of my most favourite categories. It's where the artist really shines through in the work. And I've just finished 5 years teaching contemporary photo media at Central Queensland Uni. So I hope to quite an earnest judge. I really value all the work and I want to thank the entrants in advance for putting their work up and giving us the pleasure of looking at it today.
Thanks, Lisa. And Vanessa, last but not least.
Yeah, thanks so much for the opportunity. Vanessa McCauley, I'm based in Melbourne also, it's freezing. I used to be, I'm an ex-teacher and then got into photography a little bit later in life and absolutely love bringing those two worlds together too, educating others on the world of photography. I'd love to say that I was a full-time photographic artist. It's what I'm passionate about. But most of my time I spend photographing in schools, taking photos of promotional photos and events. So excited for this category. The work looks amazing. I can't wait to get into it.
Excellent. Thanks, Vanessa. And I should probably introduce myself as well. So my name is Chris Anderson, spelled correctly with a K, Chris Saunders. Nah. Like Lisa, I'm from Brisbane, and I'm a performing arts photographer. So I photograph actors, dancers, live theater production, which is heaps of fun and often very creative and very interpretive. So this is also one of my favorite categories. So let's get into it. Judges, are you all ready? Love and life are looking good. Yes. We're gonna start our panel today. We have 7 judges. We're gonna have 5 of them on at any one time. We're gonna start our panel with Chris, Craig, Faru, Harriet, and Vanessa. So you guys are all on. Johan and Lisa, you get to have a little break to start with. And Mel Sinclair, who will be scribing and reading out the titles today, which is the hardest job of any of us, to be honest. Mel, if you want to kick us off with our first image, please.
Good morning. The title of this image is Topography of a Shifting Interior.
All right, and our first image is scored a 79, highly commended. So well done to our entrant for that. Faru, could I get a comment from you on this one, please?
Yeah, this is such a interesting concept of getting reflection of people passing perhaps through the shopping center. The color palette is amazing. Perhaps different crop, maybe more square crop to bring more attention to that beautiful texture and things happen in the middle of the image.
Excellent. Thanks, Faru. Johan, you can come off the bench, and Vanessa, I'm sure you're exhausted after judging one image, so you can have a little break. And let's bring our next image, please, Mel.
The title of this image is Defiant.
And congratulations, we have an 80, a silver award. So well done to our entrant, Craig Turner Bullock. Would love a comment from you, please.
Yeah, this is a really strange and interesting idea. I think just some of the technicals let this down. So above that fork, there's a really strange change in texture in the background of the image there. And I would have just loved some more attention paid when putting the duck's head on this person to make sure that it was all tucked away neatly and the tie was outside of the neck. So just a couple of little details to fix up.
Excellent. Thank you, Craig. Lisa, let's bring you on. And Chris Saunders, you can have a short break. And we'll have our next image, please, Mel.
Okay, the title of this image is The Illusion of One.
Now, while our judges are looking at this, you at home will notice that this entry says it's been modified. So I need to explain what's going on. Sometimes an entry might not be suitable for public display, and that could be a portion of the entry or the entire image. And for those entries, we show a modified version to the audience. The judges always see the original unmodified entry, and that's what they're judging today. All right, we have an initial score of 88, a silver with distinction, but we've got a couple of judges in the gold range, and Craig is the fastest off the mark with hitting that challenge button. So, Craig, you've got a little bit of support. Why don't you kick us off?
It's good to hear I'm not alone here. I think this is fantastic. I love the attention to detail in putting this together, where you've got that kind of chin line with the toes, but then the shadows of the toes kind of digging in with the curly toes. The face profile that's really the only one clearly visible is right where the eye is. I think this is a masterful. I think it's completely new and inventive. I haven't seen anything like this. And I would love to talk more about this and sneak this some more points.
Brilliant. Thanks, Craig. Harriet, you were in the silver range.
Yeah, this is like a wow factor, and I think I probably just maybe needed a bit more time with it, to be honest. So I'm really glad to be having this conversation. The details are incredible, and actually, I think I was drawn to the face originally first because of the beautiful skin tones in there, but now I'm looking all around the image and looking at the sky and the sea and mountains. So yeah, there's a lot of detail, and I would love to hear some other judges. So I'm thinking of, so I can bring my score up a bit.
All right, thanks, Harriet. Look, we've got two judges in the 90s, so I might go to all of you for a comment. And Johan, we're going to go to you next, please.
Right. So I didn't quite give it a 90, but I've got open ears. And I guess the thing that was holding me back was just the positioning of the face that you see, that is the reflection of the face that's there. And it just seems to be a little low. And then the expression on that face, the actual face, is almost a little smug, which seems separate to the formality of the rest of the image. But, you know, it's just such a little thing. There's a bit of stress in some of those hands that we see, but it's a beautiful compilation. It's just stunning. Very clever.
Thanks, Johan. Lisa, you were supportive of this image.
Yes, Craig hit the challenge button before me. I'm a bit slow off the mark today. I haven't had enough coffee. Absolutely supportive. If we look at our scoring range, and I actually think maybe I've even underscored. But anyway, let's look at gold. It's outstanding, excellent, few distractions, and its excellence is in concept, tick, craft, tick, and impact, tick. I don't think there's anyone on the panel that would disagree with that. I'm just going to throw a couple of words in here as well. Magritte. It's a wonderful reference to art and art history. And I'm going to say conceptually, it speaks to the male gaze. It's a subversion of the male gaze. It's a conversation around the male gaze. And it's a wonderful use of the human form to have conversation around that. Craig, maybe we've underscored. I don't know if we can bring our fellow judges and push it higher. So I'm just going to leave that with everyone.
Thanks, Lisa and Faru.
I wanted to support Lisa and Craig as well. I gave it solid silver with distinction, but now I feel like I'm underscoring it because as much as I'm looking at it, I see more like the little face is acting as the eye, and the hands. It's just the arms and the hands just create the lips and the form of the face. First, I thought this is a like awkward position of the feet and the arm, but as much as I'm looking at it, I think it's a support of the anatomy of the face of the man. So I think it's brilliant in many ways, and I definitely support it in a solid gold.
Brilliant. Thanks, Faru. Craig, why don't you finish us off?
Yeah, thanks everybody. Lisa, I will love to remind you that I challenged this so you can put in a new score. I'm stuck at 92, and I do feel that I've underscored this. The more I'm spending time with it, the more I'm listening to what you guys are saying, the more I love it. Johan, I think that the clue in this image is also in the title, the illusion of one. I think that helps with the juxtaposition of the tight framing, the slight smugness that you see in the main profile, and almost the kind of sad expression with the mouth and jawline of the larger piece. Faru, anatomy, I think you're spot on as well. Like, this is put together with emotion, but also with the anatomy of a face in mind. And the more I'm sitting here and looking at actually the landscape behind, I feel that kind of movement, which I think is really clever with an image like this. So I feel like I've underscored it. I can't move, but I would encourage you guys to go as high into the 90s as you can.
All right, thanks, Craig. Now, as a panel mentor, I can make a panel mentors challenge, which means that all judges will be allowed to rescore. And I'm going to do that on this occasion. We've had some really positive conversation. So all judges, you can please rescore now. And we have a 95, a gold with distinction. So excellent, excellent conversation, judges. Massive congratulations to the entrant. A gold with distinction is a spectacular result. So that's really great. All right. Excellent work, Craig. You get to take a break because of all that hard work challenging. And we're going to bring Vanessa on. And we're going to go to our next image, please, Mel.
The title of this image is Celestial Molecules.
We have a 79, a highly commended. I don't think we're going to stick there very long, though. We've got two judges who want to challenge, but Vanessa, you're the higher of the two on 86 in silver with distinction. So why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, this image has immediate impact and is interesting in its format, so very engaging. I think that ultimately the photographer was looking to create a real, what's the right word? A pattern that would really draw us in and keep us interested and looking around. I'm interested to hear from the other judge who was up there with me to see if there's anything more, because I think the initial impact has really grabbed me and is holding me in.
All right, thanks, Vanessa. We will go to that other person, but we're going to start with Harriet, who was in the highly commended range.
Yeah, it is quite impactful. It's very graphic in nature. And when you go into it a little bit, you can really see this beautiful shape in the balls, and real texture and kind of a 3D nature to them. The sort of more, they're not squares, but I don't know my geographical shapes very well, but they seem very flattened to me. And that's sort of taking me out of this 3D sort of nature of the image. So I just wanted to bring that up to get maybe some feedback from some other judges as to whether they think that those more squarer shapes should be more flattened, or whether I'm just missing a 3D nature to them.
Thanks, Harriet. Faru, you were in the silver range.
Yeah, I think like I think like the visual impact and the graphic nature of this image is really stunning here. It feels like you are looking at something in a microscope, looking at like a micro creature created by very creative mind, and you don't know what it is and what's the purpose of creation, but you just stuck to it. And that's the reason I give it like 82. And I think it's just like you are looking to the top and seeing something in the sky. So I think like it puzzle your mind in a way that you wanted to reward it because of that. And I think I don't think like being those square totally flat actually adding anything to it. I think it's good as it is. It's puzzle you in many ways.
Thanks, Faru. Lisa, did you have anything quick you wanted to add?
Yes, I just want to thank my fellow judges for letting us to linger a bit longer with this. My initial reaction, I was top end of the highly commended, was that I just couldn't find a way in, and I wasn't appreciating the shapes or the objects for what they were, and I felt we had too much combination of the real and the unreal to really buy into it. But I think, Faru, you've unlocked it for me because I'm looking at it from underneath. Do you mean I'm getting that feel? I can have the sky, I can have these unusual objects. I think I found a way to resolve the work. So I'm happy to come up into the next range.
Thanks, Lisa. Vanessa, back to you.
Yeah, thank you too, because some words escaped me when I first looked at it. And I think sometimes that's just because an image with its initial impact is you've got to cling to that and spend time with it to work out what it is that is really grabbing you. I think there's a tiny bit of work that could be done in depth in this to maybe give us a bit more sense of the background. But if you pull yourself back in your chair and look at this from a distance, it really does grab, and there's a great sense of motion and maybe even a slight sense of foreboding as Brit comes towards the viewer. Great impact for me, and I really, really appreciate this image. I'd love you to come up with me into the high silvers, high 80s.
Excellent. Thanks, Vanessa. Vanessa, you're going to keep your score locked at 86. Everyone else, you can please rescore. And we've moved from 79 to 83, a silver award. Excellent work, team. And congratulations to the entrant. Let's give her a little break, and we'll bring Chris with a C back onto the panel and have our next image, please, Mel.
Okay, the title of this image is The Perfect Wave.
All right, we have an initial score of 84, and I don't think Lisa's going to let that stand. Lisa's on 96, and take it away, Lisa.
I pressed both buttons because I pressed all the buttons to get Chris's attention to say, let me speak, let me talk about this. Oh, look, the initial reaction, there's this wonderful blend of naivety. Do you know what I mean? We can see it's a structure. We know it's like a set in a play in the theatre. Yet we also have the reality of the sky behind us. And to me, there's just this literal conversation around storytelling and narrative and drama. And I need to find a judge that's at the top, in the silver with distinction range to back me up, because I need just a little bit more time, and maybe give me some concerns, because I know I can address them, and I don't want to waste time waxing lyrical when I can give more impact when it comes back to me.
Brilliant. Thanks, Lisa. Vanessa, you were in the silver range for this one.
I loved the theatrical nature of it. It's the set straight off out of a production, and I could imagine it as a backdrop. So I loved all that. I suppose I was still coming to terms with the front being a set and the back being a natural. Maybe if I could resolve that just a little bit of concern in my brain, I would be up there with you, Lisa.
All right, thanks, Vanessa. I think everyone wants to have a chat about this one, so that's gonna happen. We're gonna go to Johan next.
Yes. So I looked at this, and my immediate reaction was pantomime. And then I loved what the previous judge was talking about how they couldn't quite relate the real stuff to the made up stuff. But that's what pantomime does. It wants you to imagine those things. I had an initial problem with the movement of light from very dark to quite bright. But that's the oncoming storm, the oncoming threat, and everything like that. I gave this an 84, and I'm going to go up.
Excellent. Thanks, Johan. Chris Saunders, you were in the silver with distinction range.
Yeah, I was. And I really like the sort of agricultural, almost, that cut out sort of feel in the front. I think that definitely adds to what's going on here. The bit that was holding me back from gold here was there was a couple of things. The first one was that transition at the back of the boat, from light to dark there. I think that creates a bit of a distraction in terms of the clouds in the background. There's a line going through down the back there, and that to me is a bit of a distraction. The other one, and Johan has to some extent, I think, helped me understand it, was I was finding it quite hard to connect the boat with the sort of wooden nature of the boat. It just didn't feel to connect with the foreground and the background in terms of it sort of just jumping out a bit. But why I really wanted to put this in gold, and I don't know if anyone else has seen it, is there is a amazing head and face above the top of that wave in the clouds, which is has like that godlike thing going on, which reads into mythology and all those storms of the seas and things like that. So I am listening. I was 86. I think I can come up. I'm just not sure that I'm quite in gold, and just need some help explaining some of those challenges.
All right, thanks, Chris. Harriet, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm at the kind of mid-range silver and probably at the lower end of the scores. But the wonderful thing about this category is you actually just need to sit with these images for a bit longer. And I just wanted to say that I'm definitely coming up. I think there's some beautiful things about this image. That sky is stunning. I can't see the face, to be honest, but I'm looking. But that sky and that sunlight, stunning. There's also, I can see rain that sort of feels like there's rain on the back of that boat. So somehow the photographers or the artist has managed to get that in. I love that when you look closer, it looks like the boat is almost cardboard. There's just such a flimsy kind of feel to it. And of course, the reference to, you know, a Hokusai's Great Wave is wonderful as well. So I'm definitely coming up.
Thanks, Harriet. Lisa, back to you.
Okay, I think everyone's on board, pardon the pun. We can definitely bring this up. I'm still gold with distinction. I can't, so the face, if you just look at the peak of the artificial wave, the wave from the set, if you look at the peak and you look straight up, there's a face coming through. Anyway, I'm just pointing that out. I think this is, picture the child. And look, I won't go into it too much because we've all kind of have our own interpretation. And I think the joy of an image like this is we all have a way into this. You know, we can either, we imagine it's a child with their toy boat and they're looking out the window and there's this sky and the storm's coming and they're imagining all of this in the pantomime, the imagination, the models. There's also a very strong history in photographic art to photograph models. It's very legitimate. You mean to make a model and photograph it, and that is the work. So this is just working on so many levels, and the drama and the contrast, the points of contrast with light and dark, and even understanding that it's a set. It's very intentional that it's a bit jarring that we've got the real with the imagined, and that's how a child or how any of us work when we're in our imagination. I've forgotten all of the concerns, so I don't know whether that was intentional. I just hope that I can bring you up. Join me with gold with distinction if you can. And just as you sit longer, just before you hit the scoring button, just look to see if the concerns you have are still warranted. And we're looking at gold with distinction, benchmark work, near flawless and groundbreaking. I don't think I've seen an image like this. So I'll leave that with you.
Excellent. Thank you, Lisa. Lisa, you're going to keep your score locked in at 96, and all other judges, you're invited to rescore now, please. And we've moved up to 90, a gold award. So excellent work, team. Moving 6 points on a challenge is a really good outcome for the entrant. So congratulations to the entrant. Now, Harriet, we're going to give you a little rest. And Craig, you're back on the panel. And Mel Sinclair, if we could have our next image, please.
Okay, the title of this image, Water Droplet, Windy Multicolor.
And we have an 81, a silver award. So congratulations to the entrant on your silver. And Chris Saunders, he's hit the challenge button. He's on 86, up in the silver with distinction range. Chris, over to you.
Yeah, look, I definitely think this is worth a quick discussion and see if we can get this into silver distinction. For me, it's been really well executed. There's a lot to like in it. I'll start with the general form. I think it leaves itself to interpretation, whether it's some sort of some sort of organic fungi or something like that. So yeah, there are interpretive elements around the structure of it. The color palette is incredible. You know, it's very vibrant and saturated, but I don't think it's been oversaturated in any area. And then the range of textures in the fluids from semi-transparent through to some through to solid color, I think has been well handled as well, and the lighting of it has been very well managed. So I do think this is a bit more than just a silver, and that's why I've challenged it. I'd like to see this get to a silver distinction if we can.
Brilliant. Thank you, Chris. Lisa Kurtz, you were in the highly commended range.
Chris, thanks for the time. Now that we've got to be able to look at this, I put highly commended because it was ticking the boxes for me. It's highly competent, well executed, sound technique. And when we're looking at silver, we're looking for creativity as well. And I think it does say with strengths in concept, technique, or impact. And I think you're right. I think the interpretive impact is me. I see it as almost like a cocktail umbrella. So you're right. There's many of us can see many things in it. It's been technically well executed. I'm happy to come into silver, and I wouldn't mind a fellow judge maybe just making another comment as well.
Thanks, Lisa. Craig, you were pretty close to the average on 82.
Yeah, and I guess I rewarded it for all of those things. I mean, we can see literally what it is. We can see the beautiful color palette. Interpretively, I can see this. I can almost hear Singing in the Rain playing as I look at this one, and that motion and that movement, which I love. But when I look at it closer, the image quality just breaks down. So I was in 80. I think it's well deserving of a silver, but for the image quality, I'm struggling to take it up higher.
Thanks, Craig. Chris, back to you.
Yeah, look, I think the fact that we've managed to get two different interpretations of what's essentially coloured drops of water, shows to the strength of the image. And in terms of the main thing that held me back from going into a high silver distinction on this was the noise, I think, which may be what Craig you're referring to in the image. But if you can look past that, to try and do this at a macro level with that lighting, I think is exceptional technical craft to get there, and that's where I put it. Hopefully, we can get a few more points and see this get at least to a high silver or a low silver distinction.
All right, brilliant. Thanks, Chris. You're going to leave your score to 86. Other judges, you can please rescore now. And we've moved a couple points, 83 silver awards. So congratulations to the entrant. Johan, you can have a little break. And Faru, let's bring you back on and we'll have our next image, please, Mel.
The title of this image is COVID-19.
All right, we have an 81 silver award. So excellent work. And we've got Faru with the challenge. She's on 87 in the silver with distinction range. All yours, Faru.
Yes. I give it 87 because of COVID passed, but the memory is still there. And seeing all these signs like traffic signs, but in a COVID signs, it just threw me back to what we experienced. And I wanted to reward the photographer for that. All these songs talking about the activity of human can do, like bicycling, getting your dog for a walk, playing, fishing, all of that. And in the center is face masks require. And knowing that all these elements are, photographed by photographer and put them together is such a graphic nature of the image in such a graphic form. It's very interesting and amazing, and everything is muted, is gray, and the center is red, is warning. So I love to hear you guys to what you think.
Excellent. Thanks, Faru. Craig, you were in the highly commended range.
Yeah, I'm at 78 on this one, and I get it. The story is there. It's very nail on the head for me, and I just thought it needed just a bit more finesse in terms of, well, that first one with the bike has got that kind of drawn edge, and I want, maybe that's the clue that these are cut out and real things that this artist has made and photographed. But not only some of those things, but just we've got the cross in the middle and the darker tones on the outside, and they're all just variations. And I don't know, maybe I just feel like maybe I'm being too perfect and I want those grids to all kind of be the same tonality to give it a bit more consistency.
Thanks, Craig. Chris Saunders, you were just sneaking into the silver range on this one.
Yeah, just a really quick comment just to back Craig up there. I think the fact some of the grids don't even line up as well in the 3x3 grid. I just think I gave it a silver. I think it's worth that, and with a bit more finesse, I certainly would have scored it higher.
All right, thanks, Chris. Fru, back to you.
Yeah, Craig, I hear you. First, I saw that one, but then I think, the city signs, traffic signs, they are not new and perfect. They can be crooked, they can be dirty, they can be, there is a track in it. And I think maybe the photographer actually intentionally put it there to see nothing is perfect, especially around the COVID time. So I think it's just like, if we go with that concept, it resolve it. And if everything was too perfect, in many ways, I definitely sit in a gold range. I think we just need to reward it for something that is still there and might get back.
All right, brilliant. Thanks, Fru. You're going to leave your score where it is an 87. All other judges, you can rescore now, please. And we moved up a point to 82, silver award. So again, congratulations to the photographer. Lisa, you can have a little break. And Harriet, you're back on the panel. And we'll have our next image, please, Mel.
The title of this image is Botanica Obscura.
All right, we have an 84, a silver award. And Craig he's sitting on 93 in the solid gold range. Over to you, Craig.
I think this is so beautiful. I have not seen a floral portrait like this. It's so unique. I love the emotion that you've been able to capture through the movement and the transition of life from the bud there yet to flower in the top to those drooping stems in the bottom right, and that motion and movement. It's so beautiful. It's supernatural. Its color palette is incredible. And I really think that we should be putting this in gold.
Thanks, Craig. Fru, you were in the highly commended range for this.
Yeah, Craig, I'm opposite side with the stamps. Actually, I feel like the stamps at the bottom right is something that not really repeated and is really bold, is a kind of sharp and is eye-catching. It's just drawn my eyes from all these delicate, beautiful color palette and texture just drawn there and then out of the image. Also, I feel like there is some oversaturated happen in the center of the image, and we have patch of color of the yellowish orangey at the top right and a bit there. It's just like, for me, it's not cohesive. I feel like I love it. I wanted to go for it, but it's still not cohesive in technique, and that's let me down.
Thanks, Fru. Vanessa, you were in the silver with distinction range.
Yeah, and thanks again for another opportunity to look longer. It really makes a difference. The delicate nature of this is emphasized again by the transparency of the depth of the petals, etc. And it's got just the overall beautiful, serene feel about it. Very delicately handled, I thought. I think the oversaturation in the middle of the flowers is purposely done so that we're drawn right in to look at the details in the stamen, etc. So I don't think anything's in this by accident, and it really leaves you to linger longer. Beautiful.
Thanks, Vanessa. And Craig, we're going to come back to you now.
Thanks, Vanessa. I think you kind of summed it up for me, really. I think everything here is intentional. I think that saturation in the middle is purposeful, and that's the prime and the vibrancy of life in the center. You're drawn out with that bottom piece, Faru, I think, because that is the end of the life cycle of this plant, and we rightfully exit the image there. So for me, it's got a full story of the life of this flower, and yeah, I'd love to see come up some more points.
All right, thanks, Craig. You're going to keep your score locked in at 93, and everyone else, you can please rescore now. And we've moved up 3 points into silver with distinction. So excellent outcome for the entrant. Well done. And good discussion, team. Johan, you can come back onto the panel. And Vanessa, we're going to give you a little break. And Mel Sinclair, if we could have our next image, please.
This image has no title.
And we have an 85, a silver with distinction, with 3 of our judges sitting right at that level. So congratulations to the entrant. I'm going to go to Johan for a comment on this one, please.
Just unmute. Okay. There's a wonderful sense of demonic foreboding that's reflected in the technique used for this image. It's got this grittiness that supports it. I don't know what I would do to make it any better, because I think the artist has done a great job on presenting us with something that's, well, quite threatening.
Excellent. Thank you, Johan. Lisa, you're back on the panel. And Chris Saunders, you can have a little break. And we'll have our next image, please, Mel.
Okay, the title for this one is Microplanet.
Johan, if you can get your score in.
Oh.
All right, we have an 88, silver with distinction. We've got a couple of judges up in the gold range, though. So we're going to, Craig, everyone wants to talk about this. Craig, kick us off.
This is absolutely incredible. I love the fact that we're probably looking at some kind of mold or lichen or something here that is a clue is in the title, but it does feel like one of those celestial images from NASA. The texture, the color, the detail in this are just outstanding, and I've not seen anything presented in this kind of way before. So I'm in gold at 93. I would love to have some more judges join me.
Brilliant. Thanks, Craig. Lisa Kurtz, you were in the silver range for this one.
Yeah, Craig, I've underscored. So I'm definitely coming up, and part of why I was hitting my comment button was I really want to jump in and be able to speak about that. I agree. I love the fact that we know we're looking at something that isn't something else. So it's wonderful to have metaphor, representation, interpretation. And look, at first I was concerned that we had shadowing on, one side and it was crisp on the other. But let's think about that. When we have a celestial being that's orbiting something, like a light source, we're going to have, a soft shadow side, the penumbra, the umbra, and things like that. I really enjoy it. I'm going to come up into the next range and happy to consider higher with some more commentary.
Brilliant. Thanks, Lisa. Faru, you were in the silver with distinction range, really close to the announced score.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm not sitting in gold in the first place. Thank you so much, Greg, for challenging this. The first, I was really enjoy of the texture of the color palette. Then I noticed that this is more stories happening here. It's a fungal world, and it has so much. And the fungal create their own planet. It is snowy, it's poisony. There is a green to it. There is some kind of little brownish orangey color comes through it. So everything is precise, and as much as we are looking at it, we discover more in terms of the story, the narrative, the texture, the shape, and everything. It's like a moon, but poison moon or something like that. So I definitely support you on that way.
Brilliant. Thanks, Faru. Let's go to Johan for a comment, please.
There is such a wonderful 3D dimension, third dimension to this. It looks round like a planet, and the tone as you go through it, the intensity just draws you in, and you become curious about what's around the edges. It's powerful impact. I gave this a gold. I only gave it a little 91. I could go up easily. Those lunar impacts, they look fantastic. Those asteroids that hit there did a great job. It's just so textural. Yeah, what's not to like?
All right. Thanks, Johan. Craig, back to you.
What's not to like is the question, Johan, because I haven't heard any reason not to score this in gold range. Faru, you used so many emotive words in your description there that, again, I'm thinking that we probably should have taken this higher and be looking at gold distinction, because you're giving everything emotional to this. Lisa, thanks for the comment about the shading. I think that is extremely intentional to give it that dimensionality and that otherworldly feel that we have in here. So look, I'm at 93. I'm not alone. I think we should be going up higher than that as well. So let's have a think about the scores and give it a 96.
Okay. Again, Craig has made an impassioned plea and wishes he could lift his score. And given there are a lot of positive comments, I'm going to call a panel mentors challenge on this one. So all judges, you can please rescore. We have a 95, a gold with distinction. Excellent work, team. Fabulous. I can see the judges' smiling faces and they're clapping hands on this, so they're all pretty happy with that. Good work, team. Craig, you can take a break after that hard work. And Vanessa, you're back on the panel, and we'll have our next image, please, Mel.
Okay, the title of this image is Come Sit With Me.
All right, we have a score of 81, a silver award. And Vanessa is up on 86 in the silver with distinction range. Off you go, Vanessa.
Yeah, well, I'm completely buying the story of here's this table and the multiple people who have sat there and the stories that have been told and the maybe the drinks that have been shared or the lives lived together at that table. So I've completely bought the story, and that's what this category is all about. Whether and how we interpret that is obviously the great part of this category. So there's depth, there's a lot of a lot to see into it, into the details if you keep looking. And then the beautiful light in the middle just keeps us drawn to where the central part of the story is. Beautiful, beautifully handled, and I'd love to hear what others have got to say.
All right, excellent. Thanks, Vanessa. Harriet, you have this in the highly commended range.
Yeah, I did. I think it's, looking at highly commended, I think it's, competent, well executed, sound technique, clear intent, all these things. I see the storytelling there. I wonder if they could have pushed it a little bit further, perhaps even seeing some kind of human form within that might have kind of just elevated that just a little bit more. To get it into silver, for me, perhaps just a little bit more originality, maybe, for me, that would have kind of just elevated it that bit more. And I'm kind of a little bit distracted by the green and purple hues that are kind of blending quite a lot in that middle section. I do like the storytelling, and I'm listening to see what everyone else says as well, to see if I can come up a bit.
Thanks, Harriet. Fru, you were pretty close to the average there. You were in the silver range.
Yeah, this is the image that I feel like I really love it. There is a serene feeling to this image, and I wanted to reward it. I wanted to sit with it. But however, I feel like there is a symmetry thing happening in the center of the image in terms of the repetition of the pattern, repetition of the architectural form and everything, and being all attention in that chair, and very, and the all elements actually complement the title of the image as well. So they're all the strongest one. But when it comes to the technical part, there is a couple of things is really let me down. The cropping by itself is, I don't think that much, a space from the right and the left. It's really adding to the story of the image, adding to the composition of the image, especially everything symmetry in the center. But the right and left side of the image doesn't have that symmetry treatment. The right side is brighter, it has more texture and is more sharper. The left side is more blur, more darker. And also there is a sharper thing happen in the light. In the two center of the bright side of the image, that's just my eyes goes through it. It's not really cohesive and well treated in the technique, and because we are in creative, we really want everything be treated very well. So I'm listening.
Thanks, Fru. Vanessa, we're going to come back to you to wrap up.
Yeah, I understand. I can see a few people doing some, little crop fingers, etc. And perhaps if it had have been a bit of the sides cropped out of this, or more attention brought to the middle, then I would have gone into the higher category of gold, because I feel that it's intentionally done as a multi-exposure, so that we get that sense of the story of this table that has seen life after life after life from different people coming to sit here and tell their stories. And so the message is really strong. It's a very clean and artistic storyline, and transcends any slight issues with cropping. I'd love to see you all come up with me into the silver distinction category.
All right, thanks, Vanessa. Vanessa, you're going to keep your score locked at 86, and all other judges, you can rescore now, please. And the image has moved up 1 point to 82, still a strong silver award. So congratulations to the entrant, and really good discussion, judges. Fru, you can have a short break. And Chris Saunders, welcome back to the panel. Let's go with the next image, please, Mel.
Okay, the title of this image, Petal by Petal, Time Unfolds.
And we have an 82 silver award. So congratulations to the entrant on your silver. And we're going to go up. Johan has hit the challenge button. He's pretty keen. So Johan's up on 87 in silver with distinction. Take it away, Johan.
This very busy and descriptive photograph or presentation image is quite whimsical and very gentle. It takes us through, obviously, from budding to aging. And it's quite an interesting story about aging and about how you become more fragile, more delicate, and actually in some way more interesting as you get older. The palette on it's fantastic. The lacy render of the leaves as they age is very, very pencil-like in its presentation. I just really loved it. It's the sort of thing that you could look at and wander around with for a long time.
Thanks, Johan.
Okay, 87. Yeah.
Excellent. Harriet, you were in the highly commended range for this one.
Yeah, there's a really beautiful pencil-y kind of feel to the work, and on a kind of overall scale, it looks very striking. The high key background, I think, is kind of just a little bit distracting. It would be nice if it was just a little bit warmer, a little bit gentler. And then I have noticed going in there some little imperfections especially in the left hand side. It looks like there's some cloning that's happened that's not really been removed along that whole left hand side. And actually when I sort of look into the right hand side, there seems to be just a little bit of that as well going on. So just a few little tidy ups that probably need to happen, but yeah, overall quite striking image.
Excellent. Thanks, Harriet. Chris, we're going to come to you for a comment, please.
Yeah, I was on 80, and I think this is a sort of image of fine margins, and for me the main thing that kept it in that silver range was a lot of the flowers felt overly contrasty, and I was looking for that delicateness in those sort of purple flowers. And they just felt like they'd been over contrast, and that took away from that sort of from that softness that I was looking for that Johannes found.
All right, thanks, Chris. Johan, back to you.
Yes. The fullness of the young flowers is an obvious metaphor for what they are, and the falling apart of the older flowers is exactly what that is. Aging. And I hear what all my fellow judges are saying. There are a few technical faults that I've been made aware of, but I still think it's a great image and it really caught my attention.
All right, thanks, Johan. You're going to leave your score at 87, and all of the judges, you can please rescore now. And we have an 82, stayed tight on 82, the silver award. So congratulations to the entrant. Harriet, you can have a little break. And Craig, you're back on the panel. Let's go to our next image, please, Mel.
The title of this image is The Tension Between.
All right, we have a 79, a highly commended. And we're going to have a little chat with Lisa because she's challenging this image. Lisa's on 84 at the top end of silver.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, fellow judges, I'm conscious of time. I think there's a lot to love in this in camera movement or any kind of blurring technique. It's difficult for it to be original, and this feels just original because there's not much else in it. And I think the simplicity of it is really, really appealing. There isn't a narrative as such, even though the title might direct us. But if anything, the title directs us to a feeling. I can see curtain with monochrome as well. I just think that it's not set in a particular color. Color palette equals time and era. So there's just something very intentionally unintentional about this, that it's anything and everything. And I feel that we could reward the photographer for not giving us too much, for actually paring things back and not being tempted to give us way too much information and just allowing us to disappear into this. Perhaps one of my more technically focused judges might like to comment on that. I feel it's been handled well in the shadows. And I just feel we can reward this. It's a lovely, we've got a lovely pano, vertical pano, suggests fluidity. I just think there's a lot here. I'll stop and ask for one of the judges in one of the lower scoring ranges to give me some comments to work with.
Thanks, Lisa. Chris, you were just sneaking into the highly commended range.
Yeah, I scored this at 75, so I guess I am at the other end of the spectrum. Look, I found this image very flat. For a black and white image, it doesn't have a huge amount of contrast in it. And when I went looking for the for the tension in between and looking for the spaces there, I didn't find a whole lot that was holding me. I also feel the balance of the image, for such a simple image, the balance is slightly out of kilter as well, with more highlights on the right-hand side of the image than the left-hand side. So yes, for me it was very like a highly competent, well executed in camera motion piece, but I personally didn't feel any emotive connection to it or drive to push that higher through the scoring range.
Thanks, Chris. Vanessa, you were pretty close to the average there.
Yeah, and a lot's been said now. I think I just felt that there was, for its title, that maybe I was looking for a little more tension. And occasionally, you can't help but think, I'd love to see this printed. It might give me a better sense of its depth. But I'm still very much listening to Lisa, because there is a quality about it that is quite appealing.
Thanks, Vanessa. Lisa, back to you.
Okay, I know I'm sort of on my own. I won't take much more time. The tension, I suppose the tension between could be some of the highlights that Chris pointed out. And whilst they're not maybe overly contrasty, there are some points there that we can look at and follow the lines through. I don't really know where to go with this. I just want us to appreciate this and reward the photographer for what isn't in the image as much as for what is. And I think that there's a lot to consider. And I'm just asking for a couple of more points and to come into the silver range with me.
All right. Thanks, Lisa. You do have one other judge who's already in the silver range with you. It just takes one more to bring you up. So, Lisa, you can hold your score at 84. Everyone else, please rescore. And we have an 81 silver award. So good job, Lisa, and congratulations to the entrant. I'm sure that they are over the moon with the work you did to help them get over the line. Johan, you can have a break, and let's bring you back on, and we'll have our next image, please, Mel.
This image has no title.
All right, we have an 82, a silver award. I really don't think we're staying there very long with Farouk up on 88 in the silver with distinction. So take it away, Farouk.
So much. This image has highly visual impact and the reputation of an art piece hanging in somewhere, and photographer managed to be there and actually take it with the technique of multiple exposure and moving and create another art piece for that space. And I think the color palette and the texture all comes together and creates such a vertical, complex visual feeling to it as well. So for all those reasons, I think like this image deliver highly visual and emotional impact by itself. So I really encourage you guys, look at it and tell me what you see.
All right, thanks. For Lisa, you were in the highly committed range for this one.
True, I didn't have that same emotional resonance. And I think this is something which is why this category is so exciting, because we all feel and see things differently. So putting that aside though, when you come back to respond, I'd like you to talk about the checkered background. I can't see how it's earned its place. I can't understand how that plays in with the lovely twists and turns, do you know what I mean, of that beautiful central object. I feel that the background here isn't making this cohesive or isn't contributing to the impact of the image.
All right, thank you, Lisa. And Vanessa, you were right on the average.
I don't know whether it helps with Lisa's last comment. I think the colour of the background really supports it. I think it's probably just that checkered nature that does clash. I would have come a little higher if some of the grain was taken out of it. I don't feel the grain actually contributes in any way to that sense of motion, and that's just where I'm a little stuck.
All right, thanks, Vanessa. Back to you.
Okay, about the technical part, I can, as much as my husband taking lots of architectural photo, I learn a bit of that. I think I have a guess that it would be multiple exposure in low light in a building. So that's the reason the grain came to it, the noisy, because it is the nature of the art piece actually hanging there. And the texture and the color palette is because of not only multiple exposure, but also it's like a motion blur to it. So it's like a low speed. So that's the kind of movement came to it and create a kind of repetition as well. And the movement, you can see it there. I think like when you look at it as an art piece, and creative category is talking about you take something and create another art piece with it, I think this image actually nail it. There is some error might be there. I can see it, but there is something that forgivable because I'm talking about silver with distinction, and I believe that the photographer managed to create something different from something more simple.
Thanks, Fru. You're going to leave your score at 88. All other judges, please rescore now. And we've moved up 1 point, 83, silver award. So excellent discussion. And thanks, judges. Harriet, we're bringing you back onto the panel. And Lisa, you can have a little break. Mel will have our next image, please.
The title of this image, It's a Hard Way.
And we have an 82, a silver award. Congratulations to the entrant. And I might go, oh, we have Chris Saunders, who's keen to challenge. Chris is in 86, so he's in the silver with distinction range. Take it away, Chris.
Yeah, I just like to consider whether this is worth putting into the silver distinction. I certainly think it is. For two main reasons. The spring or helical shape that the snail is traveling up has a beautiful tapering at the top of the bottom that sort of leads you in and out of the image. So that actual form in itself is really good. I think it's really clever the way that that you get the high shine effect off of that very minimal representation of that helix and the sort of smoothness and shininess of it, which then when you combine that with the slipperiness and the sliminess of the snail, just lead more to, hint to the, the title of the image. So, it made me smile. It gave me a bit of I felt there was a quirkiness and an element of fun to it, and I thought it was very well, very well combined. So, be keen to try and convince you guys to try and get this up into low silver distinction for those elements.
Thanks, Chris. Craig, you were in the highly commended range.
Yeah, I'm at 78, and honestly, I'm quite happy there. I don't see this going into the silver range because whilst I love it graphically and conceptually, the snail just feels really cut out and stuck on. Chris, you mentioned slippery and slimy. There's no evidence of the tail or the slippery slimy from the place that the snail has traveled in from already. So it just feels very flat and two-dimensional for me.
Thanks, Craig. You're pretty close to the average.
Yeah, I am. I think I wanted to be sitting at silver with distinction, and maybe I'm going up, but there is something that really bothered me is just the lighting that happened, that beautiful spiritual lines, and very well captured the lighting on that. It's very complex. I really adore that lighting, but I can't see it on the snail. I feel like the snail, I'm not sure, but a snail I feel like it has a different lighting to it. So I wanted to know more about that. And I feel like the line of the snail, the mark is actually correct, is the lighting is coming down from exactly the spot it should be. For me, it's just like the line of the snail, the slippery of the snail might be the lighting. It's just like kind of playing with the graphically with that.
Thanks, Chris. Back to you.
Yeah, look, I think hopefully Faru gave the interpretation around the trail of the snail, so to speak, and I think that standoutedness actually for me is my interpretation is that there's a spotlight on the snail as it's making its journey up through it. So I understand where Craig's coming from, but I can interpret that from a sort of a story, a narrative on a stage, and that's why I like it where it is. But hopefully, a couple more of you might have a few more points in you.
Thanks, Chris. Chris, you're going to lock your score at 86. Everyone else, you can rescore now, please. And we've stayed put on 82, the silver award. So excellent discussion, judges. Vanessa, we're going to give you a break, and Johan, you're back on the panel. And I'll just say to our people watching at home at the moment, we are running a little bit behind schedule. We're about an hour behind where we should be at this point. Behind the scenes, I am pestering our judges to keep it concise, and you'll note they are still fighting very hard for images when they believe in them, which is great. So it means we get discussion about images, and that's why we're here, is to look at and appreciate all of our images. So excellent work, judging team. Let's keep it concise and keep fighting. Let's go to our next image, please, Mel.
Okay, we have a title, and it's Mirror, Mirror on the Wall.
And we have an 81, a silver award with pretty even scoring across the whole panel. I might come to, let's go to Faru for a comment on this one, please.
It's such this image has sense of humor, and I was just like laughing. It's so cute. The color palette is delicious. It's yummy, and the story actually is very interesting. I've never seen that the story in this kind of potato dream. So I really rewarded Silver. And but to elevate this image, I think the shadow is not really believable. It's not cohesive in terms of the lighting. So that's kind of thing that a photographer can consider in this kind of concept.
Excellent. Thanks, Faru. Lisa, let's get you back on the panel, and Chris, you can have a little break, and we'll go to our next image, please, Mel.
This image has no title.
All right. We have an 89, a silver with distinction. And while I did see Craig put his hand up on 96 as a challenge, Faru's on 98. And we're probably going to go with her for the challenge. So off you go, Faru.
Eric, I beat you. Oh my God, this is amazing. Who think like that? Who create something like, and then who capture something like that? This is like Japanese art, Japanese painting. It's a fungal, it's create their own stories. It's watercolors, ink color, the texture, everything about this image is outstanding. And that's what we wanted in this category. It's creative, the excellent technical part of this image, and the story. The bird is just flying from this poisonous beautiful textury world and just flying away to the subtle sky. So I wanted to hear from you guys, and yeah.
All right, brilliant. Thanks, Faru. We are probably going to hear from most people, given we've got a couple of judges in the gold with distinction range. Johan, let's go to you next.
I surrender. I give up. I apologize profusely. I was really, really wrong. It is stunning. It is absolutely stunning, and I'm embarrassed. Is that enough?
That's enough, and I'll be clipping that and using that forever, Johan. Thank you. Let's go to Harriet, who was in silver with distinction.
Yeah, I mean, I'm coming up into gold. It's just really beautiful, and the longer you spend with it, the more texture you see. That sky, I mean, it looks paperly, and it looks like the ink is just, or the cyanotype is just dissolved into that paper. It's really beautiful. The moss looks like actual moss that's grown on the paper. It's really stunning. And that bird is just the absolute, like, it just, without the bird, it's sort of stunning. With the bird, it's beautiful. So I'm coming up into gold.
Brilliant. Thanks, Harriet. Craig, you're in gold with distinction.
Yes, I am. And I'm going to join you at 98, Faru. I think this is spectacular. We have one thing that looks like multiple other things you can interpret in different ways. The creative techniques used to capture this, but the stories that you can read into this, like if you've seen Prehistoric Planet, to me, this looks like this giant water thing is going to jump out and grab the pterodactyl, or what, this is just speaks about life on our planet through time and space, and through the most minute things into the most gigantic things that have ever lived on this earth. And I think it is phenomenal.
Thanks, Craig. Lisa, you were in the silver range for this.
Just have one area to resolve, and I'm very confident it will be resolved very, very quickly. I imagine this would be exquisite as a print, and I fully appreciate that. And a little bit like some of the other images we've spoken about previously today, I just need someone to bring me on board with the background, with the distinct difference between the exquisite world the landscape, and our background, our sky, and just giving me a sense about that. I haven't quite bought into that, and I just need someone to bring me over the edge, so to speak, with that.
All right, thanks, Lisa. Over to you to wrap it up.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for their amazing comment. I wanted to bring you to the goal with this diction, with this narrative, and it helped you with the sky, Lisa, as well. I think just like the story is here, there is something, a seed, something happened in the deep down of the earth, this planet, and it's really dark, and it's just grow, it's come to the surface, and it just come to the bird, and it's just flying away. We can go through many interpretation of that. For me, it's just like this bird actually achieved the dream, flying and go away from whatever it is, this planet, the poisonous planet, what I'm saying it. It's beautiful. And I think the narrative is something so unique, and origin, the technical part of this is very unique, and origin as well. The sky couldn't be go in any other color. No color could match and complement the rest of the image, because we have the white and the texture like very, very busy in the bottom, and the sky has almost the same treatment, but in more subtle way. It means the dream. Flying is the dream, and something the bird actually achieved it. It's just outstanding, so unique and origin. Meet me there, please.
Thanks, Faru. Faru's going to leave her score locked at 98, and other judges, please rescore. Oof, 96. Goal with distinction. Excellent, excellent discussion, team. And somewhere on the internet, there's an entrant jumping up and down for this, and they really appreciate that discussion. So well done. Vanessa, let's bring you onto the panel, and Craig, you can have a little break. And Mel Sinclair, let's go on to our next image, please.
This image has no title.
And we have an 83, a silver award with very consistent scoring all across the panel. So congratulations to our entrant. Harriet, can I get a comment from you, please?
Yeah, this is really a beautiful image, and the central area of the image is just really stunning. There's beautiful color and tone in it, and really lovely texture. That owl is just beautiful, and there's a sort of ugly beautiful where we have this life and death kind of a conversation that's happening in there. For me to get it into the silver with distinction range, just that background, if it was a little bit more textured, or had a little bit more relation to what we're seeing in the bouquet, so to speak, just a little bit more to kind of, so it was less jarring, that would have just brought it up a little bit more, but just that owl's just stunning.
Thank you, Harriet. Chris Saunders, you're back on the panel, and for you can have a little break. We'll have our next image, please, Mel.
The title of this image is Tulip Rhapsody.
All right, we have an 82, a silver award. So congratulations to our entrant for that. And looking around the panel, I might go to, let's go to Vanessa for a comment on this one, please.
Thanks, Chris. This is where the title really does support the image, the Tulip Rhapsody. You get a great sense of movement, music, dance in this piece, and it's very, very subtle in its colour palette, beautifully cropped. Perhaps just to bring it to that next level, a better sense of depth, and that might come from the furthest petal or whatever it is, right in the very far right hand top corner, being just a little bit lighter, not quite so dark. It just draws the eye away from the main subject.
Thank you, Vanessa. Excellent comments. Harriet, we're going to give you a break, and Craig, you're back on the panel, and we'll have our next image, please, Mel.
Okay, we have a title, Across a Life Before the Applause.
Lisa, if you want to get your score in. All right, we have a 79, a highly commended. And I'm going to go to Craig Turner Bullock for a comment on this one, please.
Yeah, I love the movement that we've got in this, but I think that the blacks are too heavy-handed. There's maybe a little bit more contrast, so pulling that back. Also, I would just mention the title on this one. I found that super confusing. I don't know what it means, and it didn't add anything to the image for me.
All right, thank you, Craig. Johan, you can have a short break, and let's bring you back onto the panel. Mel Sinclair, we'll have our next image, please.
The title of this image is Confrontation.
All right, we have a 79, a highly commended, and Lisa Kurtz is up there on 88 in silver with distinction. And I'm going to guess, Lisa, that you've got something to say about this.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, I jumped in quickly with my score. The impact, I would have gone higher, but I could see that there were some distractions. And I just feel it's lovely. I love a diptych, even though it's not, doesn't have a massive dividing line. We can obviously read that line almost as if it were on a sporting field. I love the fact that we've got, cause and effect, or the before or the after, or whichever direction you want to say, or whatever mood, whatever perspective you want to take on that. For me, I do recognize the fact that, when you zoom in, that there's perhaps some cloning issues, and there's some sense of what the surface is that we're seeing that come through. Love the narrative, love the simplicity, of course, with the black and white, and I love that it's not too heavily contrasted. I think the narrative is speaking to me the most, and the presentation, and wanting to get some feedback from judges. How I can bring you up, how can I pop you into silver? How can I pop you into silver? What do I need to do?
Thanks, Lisa. Chris Saunders, you were in highly commended.
Yeah, so I was 75, Lisa, and I guess the main reason for that for me is I didn't get the narrative. And when I didn't get the narrative, I then fell back onto analyzing it from a technical perspective. So really, what I need to get into silver is a better understanding of the image, the connection to the title, and maybe sort of an explanation as the person on the right hand side is still is disconnected from the ball as well. I'd be looking for more connection on the right hand side, closer to that moment of impact. But yeah, a whole bunch of composition things in there that I'm struggling to grasp.
All right, thanks, Chris. Craig, you were really close to the average.
Yeah, and just really quickly, I wanted to really like this, and I wanted to be there with you, Lisa, but all of those balls are the same ball. And I think that even the ball that is with the right-hand side with the person, I think that's the same ball as the ones on the left too. So that really let me down, and I think that's probably where you start to see some of those cloning issues as well.
All right, thanks, Craig. Lisa, back to you.
Okay, I was quite thrilled that it was the same ball because it read into my narrative. And this was an instance where I actually had to remind myself what the title was, because the words that went with this, the visuals were so strong that I didn't actually embrace the title. I don't see it as confrontation. I see it as the relentlessness of life. Do you know what I mean? Like kicking, the same ball. It's also about practice. Do you know what I mean? It's a sport. You do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And if you do that often enough on the right, you get all the balls on the left. It's not resolved. I do appreciate that. I have popped up into a higher category, but it's really interesting. And I'd like to reward the photographer concept here. And to pop it into silver, we need a clear strength in concept, technique, or impact. And I'm thinking we've got concept and impact. We're light on technique. So I'm just saying, pop it into silver with me if we can, please.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. You're going to keep your score locked at 88. All other judges, please rescore. And we've moved up a couple of points into silver, 82. Congratulations. Excellent discussion, team. Well done. Lisa, you can have a little break after that. And Harriet, let's bring you back on. And Mel Sinclair, let's go to our next image, please.
All right, the title of this image is Joy and Lightness.
Okay, we have a 79, a highly commended. And now, Harriet, you're on 83 in the silver range. We've actually got Chris Saunders on 86 in silver with distinction. Chris, can I twist your arm into taking the challenge?
Yeah, go on then.
Please challenge,
I will
Chris.
do. Yeah. So I better just hit the challenge button. I don't know if that impacts anything, but so what I enjoyed about this piece was it just reminded me of almost a Victorian type sketch in a botanical book, and the sorts of layouts that you would get with that. And I think at first glance, you look at the background and there's, it looks very untextured and that there's not much going on there. But then when you zoom in, you can see there is really nice fine detail in that sort of peachy background. And I just think it's been, it just reminds me of something I can imagine in a Victorian watercolor. And for that reason, that's why I've sort of put it into the silver distinction range. I certainly think it's at least worth a silver. So if we can get it over that threshold, that would be fantastic. But interested to hear everyone's comments.
Thanks, Chris. For you were in the highly commended range with this one.
Yeah, I give it highly commended 78 because of the joy, because of the lightness I feel, and because of the Victorian botanical masterpiece. I can see it here as well. However, I feel like there is a weird lighting and shadowing happen here, because some of the flower has very heavy sharp lighting and the rest is just like very subtle and kind of just not cohesive. I'm not sure the lighting of the whole piece is the same. I can see it, the lighting is from the top corner left side, and that's the reason actually that corner is more brighter compared to the rest of the image, which actually cause a bit of distraction there as well. But it's not really convincing, the lighting, and maybe perhaps the oversaturating create more like a muddy color in the shadow, especially in the bottom of the image as well. And some of the flower is just lost pixel because of that too. So I wanted to hear more on that issues.
Thanks, Fru. Harriet, you were in the silver range.
Yeah, I think everyone's kind of said pretty much everything. I think that it's just when we're looking at silver, we're looking at a strong creative image, clear strengths in concept and technique. We've talked about like this throwback to the Victorian era. It's very English. Maybe it's the English in me coming out. I love that really sharp sides to the image as well. The styling of it has been really beautifully done. The lighting, I don't have too much of a problem with the lighting. I think that it's all fairly even. There's one shadow I can see that's kind of standing out a little bit. But I feel, yeah, I think it's a beautifully kind of elegant picture and well worth a silver.
Thanks, Harriet. Chris, back to you.
Yeah, so I'm just going to pull on the description for silver. So strong and creative image. I think strong, it's been very deliberately placed. To my eye, it's been well executed. In terms of creativity, I think the fact that we get a Victorian vibe from it ticks that box. And then in terms of strengths of concept, technique, or impact, Fru, you were describing it as joyful and vibrant, and so we've managed to get a level of emotion into the image as well. So for those reasons, I think this is worth every dot of a silver. I think it's worth a bit more in silver distinction, but if we can get it into silver, I would be very happy.
All right, thanks, Chris. You're going to lock your score at 86. All other judges, please rescore. And you have successfully moved people into silver. It's an 82 silver award. So congratulations, Entrant, and good work, team. Vanessa, you can have a short break. And Johan, we're going to bring you back onto the panel. Mel St. Clair, next image, please.
Okay, the title of this image is Rest in Pieces.
All right, we have an 81, a silver award, and Harriet straight out of the gate, hitting that challenge button fast, which is what I want to see. Excellent work, Harriet. Take it away.
Yeah, this is a really striking image that I put into silver distinction. It's interesting when we see diptychs or triptychs. What is the purpose of it? Why have people entered more than one image, and how do they talk to each other? And I think these three really do. There's a beautiful kind of sense of line and form within all three images that kind of work together and blend together. Each of the parts of the image, you can kind of read and interpret what part of the animal you might think it is, but it's still quite ambiguous. And it's really impactful, and the processing is quite interesting as well. That kind of like a traditional black and white, sort of slightly, it's not quite sepia, but it's slightly kind of that traditional analog feel to the processing, which is I'm really enjoying. So I'd love to hear what the judges think and see if I can get you into silver distinction.
All right, thanks, Harriet. Craig, you were in the highly commended range for this.
Yeah, I'm at 77 on this one, and I love the concept and I love the initial impact of this, but it just doesn't stack up to me looking at it over more time. The middle image is placed like a few pixels higher in the triptych than the other two. The central one also, I feel like that composition is off center and it would really benefit from being perfectly aligned in the center. And also the background on that one's darker than the two on the other side as well. I'd love to see a little bit more depth of field, especially in that jaw on the right, where it's obviously taken from a closer angle because it's a smaller piece, and the focus just falls off dramatically there. So whilst I think the concept is awesome, I just think that this one, the technicals have really let this down.
All right, thanks, Craig. Johan, you were right on the average.
Great. I agree with what Craig's saying, but I didn't think that was enough to knock it down out of silver. And the thing that I did notice was that because of the way the tonality of the treatment works, because the middle one has a darker background, it's gone almost a magenta. So it distinguishes it more from the others, which isn't working in its favor. But the thing that I absolutely love about it is the way that they've used contrast to make you look at things. And the photographer's done a really good job of controlling that contrast to a level where it's almost granular, where you see things, the details in the teeth, the details in the is it the coccyx or whatever it's called, and in the joins in the what I'm assuming is a skull piece. So that made me reward it more for that bit of control.
Thanks, Johan. Harriet, back to you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I can, yeah, definitely see all those little things, but I feel like I just want to reiterate what Johan said, and that, yeah, the texture in this is just really stunning. When you go in and just look at all the texture in those teeth, in the skull, in the spine, really beautiful. Yes, that middle, I see the middle could be really centered, and that would just give it that extra little bit of impact. But when we're talking about highly commended, sound technique and clear intent, or is it a strong creative image that's silver? I think we are impacted by it. It's a creative image. It's got strengths in concept and impact. So I feel if you can't come to silver distinction with me, which maybe you guys should, even just getting it into silver, I feel like, also a bit further up into silver anyway, would just give the photographer the confidence to know that they're on the right track with this kind of work.
Brilliant. Thank you, Harriet. You're going to lock your score at 86, and everyone else, please rescore now. We've moved a point up, 82 silver award. Excellent, good discussion. And I know the entrants really happy to hear us talking about their image for an extended period of time, which is great. Lisa, you can come back onto the panel, and Chris, you can have a little break. Chris is really dying for a coffee at this stage. It's early in WA. Let's go to our next image, please. He's got his coffee.
This image has no title.
Now, this is our second instance where we're presenting a modified version of this image to you watching from home. And again, sometimes there's a portion of our image that may not be suitable for public display, whether it's because of YouTube's control or because of our gallery. So we will, could be a portion or the entire image. We'll show a modified version to the audience. The judges will always see the original unmodified entry, and that is what they are judging. And we have an 81, a silver award, with quite consistent scoring around the panel. So that's excellent work, judges. And for let's get a comment from you, please.
I think it's such a wonderful piece of visual impact with the high technique in lighting to create such an amazing shape and form of a woman body. I think like to elevate this image to the next level, perhaps watch out those brightest area it's happened, and we can see the kind of shape of the softbox, the grid, and everything on that. And also there is a sharpness happen on the to edge that can be a smoother to elevate this image. Beautiful piece.
Thank you, Faru. Craig, you can have a little break. And Vanessa, you're back on the panel. Mel Sinclair, let's have our next image, please.
Okay, the title of this image is Waiting for the Tram.
All right, and with incredibly consistent scoring around the panel, we have a 78, a highly commended. Lisa, love to hear from you on this image, please.
I loved Harriet's wording in our last commentary about giving the entrant the confidence, to keep going. And I just want to reiterate here, there are some really, really interesting and good elements. I love that vertical in-camera movement or that blur. It's really lovely. It's elevating, literally elevating. And I do love a leading line. We know that they're effective, so that is fantastic. But just be mindful when you've got a strong leading line that what's at the end of the line has to be really worth it. And what we've got here is we've got a relatively banal subject matter where we've got, a juice bottle and things like that. And this was a creative category. This was fully open. You could do anything with this, and you could post-production to the hilt. And I would really encourage you to think, has literally every element earned its place in this? Potential here, keep going. Just watch every single element, particularly those where you're drawing us to. If you're telling us to look at something, make it worth our while, but keep going. Again, giving you that confidence to keep going.
Brilliant. Thank you, Lisa. Really good comments there. Appreciate that. Faru, you can have a short break, and Chris Saunders, you can come back. And Mel Sinclair, next image, please.
Okay, the title of this image is Where Color Lingers.
All right, we have an initial score of 83, and Johan is in the stratosphere on 97 with a goal with distinction. All yours, Johan.
Okay. How stunning. I can imagine this in many different forms. I can imagine this as a monstrous image, huge. It would have such a powerful impact. The aging process that leads us to this one amount of vibrancy with those two beautiful opposites of the bluey purple and the yellow. The decay that's happened in the other areas is so lace-like, and then having it overlaid on this wonderful textured background lets us sit there very comfortably. It's not stark, it's not bleak, it's just peacefully beautiful.
Thank you, Johan. Vanessa, you were in the highly commended range for this one.
I was, and I really want to applaud the photographer for bringing us a perfectly imperfect flower. I can't get over the edges of this. It's really crudely handled, and I think possibly if that could be addressed, it would certainly come up into the next level. And then I find the background very distracting from the actual texture of the beautiful leafy part of the flower. So I'm listening, but I've got a long way to go before I would be up into the 90s.
Thanks, Vanessa. Chris Saunders, you were really close to the average.
Yeah, I was on 84. And I think one of the reasons initially that I put it there was it reminded me of an aerial landscape and the sort of rivers and waters flowing into salt lakes, and the sort of the background reminding me of the overall general crust that you get in those situations. And then where the water flows, you then get the extra detail and crunch coming through, and really where the colors and saturation starts to pop out of those landscapes. So I got a level of connection there that I was enjoying. And I think with that mindset, I don't mind so much the way that the leaves fade, or sorry, the petals fade into the background, because that sort of all lends itself to that storyline for me. So I don't know if that helps anyone bring it up more in the scoring range, but I potentially could come up a few more points into silver distinction. I'm not quite sure I'm up in the stratosphere with Johan, but we'll see.
All right, thanks, Chris. We are talking silver with distinction, so we might go to a few more people. Lisa, I'd love to hear from you.
I'm not normally sort of nitpicky about really technical things, but I think, Vanessa, when you spoke about looking at the edges in the coloured part of the petals, and Johan, I think this would be absolutely exquisite. And Chris, I love what you said about where it bleeds into the edge. Johan, just pop in and look at the edging around those coloured petals. And I mean, I don't know if we're going to call it aberration or whatever it might be, or maybe it's quite legitimate and maybe it's quite beautiful. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not wanting to drag us down into this being just about the technical, particularly Vanessa, if that's what's holding you back, you know what I mean? Because I think everything else about this is exquisite. I'm not sure I'm in the stratosphere, Johan, but I feel we should just talk about that, because again, I'm not overly technically minded or concerned, but even I noticed that. And so I would like a brief word about that.
Thanks, Lisa. Harriet, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I think I'm the same as Lisa. Normally, technically, I'm just let it go if the beauty of the image is impactful enough. And I do think that this is really impactful, which is why I put it into silver. I think just for the photographers, maybe view like that leaf on the left-hand side, the lower edge of it, where it kind of blends a little bit and it's really soft, is just so beautiful and delicate. And that right-hand side is very sort of quite harsh and blunt. And I guess that's maybe what we're looking at and what I'm seeing that difference. If they could just soften it a little bit, and there feels like there's like quite a lot of contrast or quite a lot of clarity or sharpening that's been put in. Just relax it, take it back, let it be a little bit more, and let the softness of the flower really come out away from that post-production.
Thanks, Harriet. Johan, a lot of information there. Back to you.
Excellent. So I looked at the softening of the edges and things, and I wondered why that might be. And it occurred to me that a lot of the soft edging is to do with the depth of focus, and it gives this image a greater three-dimensionality. So the reseeding or the backwards parts of this flower have gone soft and hazy, and the forward parts, the crunchy parts, are the parts that come towards us. The edging on the colored elements give it strength. They hold it in place, and they give it a firmness, a strength of presence, and give it an abruptness that makes it incredibly striking. The small bits of detail that come around some of the edges of the lace-like work on particularly the bottom leaf, are just stunning. They're just worthy of existing. You know, they're there for a reason. They're there for us to see, and they're quite beautiful and damaged. And then you have this striking bold purple that smacks you in the face, which has just enough information in it to hit you hard. It struck me quite hard. Obviously, my fellow judges weren't struck as heavily, but I'd like to see an improvement of their assessment. Can I say that?
All right. Well, you have, and it's on YouTube forever. Thanks, Johan. You're going to lock your score in on 97, and other judges, if you could change your assessment, perhaps to Johan's satisfaction or not, as you like. Please rescore. And we have an 86, a silver with distinction. So we've moved into the next scoring range. Well done. Excellent discussion. Thanks, judges. Craig, you can come back onto the panel. Harriet, you get to have a little break. And we're going to go to our next image, please, Mel.
This image has no title.
And we have an 84, a silver award. Well done to our entrant. However, Vanessa's not finished yet. We've got two judges who are in silver with distinction, and they're both keen to challenge, but we're going to go with Vanessa because she was on 88. So take it away, Vanessa.
I really buy into the story here of this beautiful creature that has been almost discarded by the background it's been placed on. Gives a sense of, you know, garbage bag or something to that same ilk, and it's exquisitely handled with the lighting on the bird, beautifully done. We can see every detail of feather right through to each tip of the wings. It's such a beautiful and poignant photo that's really quite emotive, and really draws us in for a further look. So I can't see any reason at all why this wouldn't be sitting in the strong silver with distinctions. And looks like I've got lots of support that way. So just have a closer look and see what you think. I think it's just glorious.
All right, Johan, you're in the highly commended range.
Yep. I see those lovely details and think that the photographer has presented this very delicately and very powerfully. I got distracted by the only straight line crease in the background, and it went right through the bird's face. I could overlook it. I like the message that you're saying about perhaps the damage caused by plastics. I did get a sense of the Dover piece from this, and I don't know where that came from, but it just sort of gave me that impression. I could be talked up. I'm not stuck.
All right, thanks, Johan. Lisa, you were pretty close to the average there on 83.
Vanessa, I've got, I think, three things that I want to flag. The cityscape at the bottom of the frame, I'm just not sure, you know, it positions then that the bird is in flight. And I'm not quite sure, do you mean, how to read that? Is that then the cloud of death behind the bird? I'm really open, okay, to a narrative. And look, I just am not sure about the surface that the bird is on and why its wings are over the edge of the object that it's on. And I just need a little bit of more narrative to come on board, because I want to love it. Craig often uses that expression, and I love that expression. I want to love this, okay?
All right, we're going to go to a couple other judges. Everyone's pretty keen. Craig, you're in support of this one?
I am. I'm at 88, and Lisa, let me help you. I think
You're
we've
at
already
87,
had.
Craig, just saying.
Am I 87?
Yes.
Sorry, Vanessa's at 88. I do love this. I think it's really poignant, and I think we've had some good narrative interpretations from the judges already. I definitely think there's something there in the plastics of that background. I feel like this image also has a lot of movement in the way that the light is falling on that wrinkled plastic. And with the bird positioned in this way, it's like the final flight for me. And it's almost like we're looking down on it from above and some kind of polluted water below, which also ties it to the whole plastic argument for me as well. So there is narrative there. I think the use of negative space is really good and really intentional. And yeah, I would love to see this gain some more points.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Craig. And actually, Vanessa, we're going to come back to you now to finish up.
Sorry, Chris. I think this might come down to being that quintessential illustrative photograph here where we're open to so many interpretations, so it could be used in so many purposes. But ultimately, to me, the message is strongly about this bird has passed away due to its environment in whatever way that plastic is representing. And that I think the fact that the wings are disappearing off the edge of the plastic is almost like its last gasp of trying to escape from its environment and to live on, but unfortunately that's been unsuccessful. Apart from all of that, the story, which we can all interpret our own way, it's just the most beautifully lit. The handling is just gorgeous. There's not one detail that stands out too much except for the eye. Little details like a straight line through the plastic at the background, well, yep, okay, maybe we could tone that one down just that tiniest bit, and then I'd be talking in the golds. So I implore you to have a closer look and come up a little.
Thank you, Vanessa. Vanessa's going to keep her score locked at 88. Other judges, please rescore now. And we have an 86, silver with distinction. Excellent. Those 2 points are crucial to get up into the silver with distinction. So really good conversation, judges. And Vanessa, thanks for challenging that. Johan, you can have a break for your back on, and we'll go to our next image, please, Mel.
The title of this image is Red Division.
Have your score, please, Lisa. All right, we have a 77, highly commended. So congrats to our photographer for their highly commended. And let's see, I'm going to go to Vanessa for a comment on this one, please.
Yeah, I want to commend the photographer for giving us such movement, a real sense of movement, and exploring techniques that can bring us that story so easily. I would like, although I can see a little detail in the face of the hurried commuter, let's say, I'd like a little bit more of the personality or the mood from the subject.
All right, thank you, Vanessa. Harriet, welcome back to the panel. Lisa, you can have a short break, and we're going to go to our next image, please, Mel.
The title of this image is The Last Spoonful.
And we have an 80, a silver award. So congratulations to the entrant. I might go to Craig for a comment on this one, please.
Yeah, I think this is really fun, and it's obviously a play on a famous artwork, so I like that about it. I really like the fork. That's actually what tipped me over to score it in the 80s. But I think a little bit more refinement in terms of like ironing the tablecloth, perhaps, getting rid of some of those creases to tidy it up, maybe seeing a little bit of mess on the table from food that might have happened already, not all spoons being clean, even the like dishcloth around the central figure. It's not really fitting in with the color palette. So just some refinement on this concept, and I think it could go a lot further.
Excellent. Thanks, Craig. So, Johan, let's bring you back, and Vanessa, you can have a short break. Let's go to our next image, please, Mel.
Okay. This image is titled Manipulation.
All right, we have an 83, a silver award. Chris Saunders is very convincingly up in the silver with distinction range on 88. Take it away, Chris.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with the technical side of this, which is the first thing that grabbed me was just the detail in the texture in that white face, in that, and the strong profile of it, and obviously just the graphical nature of it, and then I started just exploring the deliberateness of how well everything has been placed in the frame. And the way the hand is there, that the piece coming out of the hand connects to just slightly connects to the edge and makes that connection. The fact that we've got pieces in the bottom left-hand corner that sort of hint that it's still a work in progress in terms of the manipulation is ongoing. It's not a completed piece. And I suppose from if I put my engineering hat on, I see the sort of the cogs and the wheels and so on in the Lego as sort of a representation of the mechanical nature of the brain, and perhaps being an engineer, I can be a bit more like that than emotive. So I found a lot to enjoy here. The color palette just being really simple. I certainly think it's worth a silver distinction, and there's a lot that everyone can explore in it and find their own narrative, I think.
Brilliant. Thank you, Chris. Harriet, you were in the highly commended range.
Yeah, it's a really interesting image, and I think it's got some really interesting concept behind it. It's technically it's very well done. I've got to say that actually the title of it drew me out of it quite a lot, and I sort of looked at this initially and thought, oh, this is sort of about mental health. It's potentially about neurodivergence. There could be so many things, and then that title of manipulation, it felt a little more sinister to me. So I think that's kind of how I ended up kind of moving down. And although the image is it's technically been staged very well, that title really actually affected the concept and the intent for me. So I'm listening, and I'm happy to I want to hear what the other judges say.
Thanks, Harriet. Fru, you were exactly on the average on 83.
Yeah, I'm the average, and I wanted to come up and support you, Chris. The first thing I felt like this is not ChatGPT or any AI cloud or anything that doing to us, like slightly building up what we need to think, what we need to do. And I think manipulation, that's really right title. It's just like manipulation is like something like that. It's very subtle, smooth, it's coming and manipulate you with it, even though you know it. first thing, I thought there is no warning color here. There is no sharp color here. So that's the reason I was sitting in 83. And then I was like, manipulation is not about warning. It's about just, spreading and getting you without you know it. So that's the reason I feel like the title is perfect, is a masterpiece, and I'm definitely come up and sitting with you at Silver.
Thanks, Farouk. Craig, have you got anything quick to add?
I do really quickly. I'm coming up. I actually might come up into gold on this, to be honest. I sat with it for a while and I feel like I get it now. This is a child's profile, and the manipulation is taking all of those reds and blues away and taking all of the color and the creativity and the life out of this child's brain and replacing it with grays and browns and blacks. And so I kind of feel like I've got the manipulation part, and I feel like I've really, really underscored this.
Thank you, Craig. Chris, let's come back to you.
Okay.
Actually, sorry, before we do that, Johan, do you have anything you want to add? Since someone said the G word, Johan, do you have anything quickly to add?
I just want to reinforce what Craig said and how powerful what he said was. That's all.
Cool. Excellent. Sorry, Chris, off to you.
So I think we have all underscored this, myself included. Just to build on a few of the points that that Farouk mentioned. Yes, there is a lack of warning colors in those Lego pieces, but the red bits are there in there. There's enough there were enough warning signs in there. It's not all. There were opportunities, I guess, for that for someone to take some remedial action. The fact that it is Lego and it's done piece by piece by piece, it just builds up into that general picture. And Craig, you absolutely nailed it. I can't, but everyone else should be putting this into gold for sure.
Thank you, Chris. Again, as a panel mentor, I do have the ability to challenge, and I'm listening to you all speaking, and this has revealed itself little by little, including for you, Chris. So I'm going to call a panel mentors challenge. You can all rescore, including you, Chris. And we have a 91, a gold award. Excellent discussion. Well done, team. I feel like there really should be applause and clapping when we have one of these. It's a shame we don't have that. Now the judges are all clapping. You can't see it, but I can, so it's satisfying for me. Lisa, you can come back onto the panel. Chris Saunders, after that hard work, you can take a little break, and we'll go on to our next image, please.
This image has no title.
And we have a score of 84, a silver award. We've got 2 judges in the silver with distinction range. Johan's pushed the comment button. I don't know if he means to push challenge. Farouk's push challenge.
Yeah, I did.
Farouk gets the points for pushing the correct button. Off you go. It means you can rescore, Johan, so that's a good thing. Farouk, off you go.
I think like there is a very interesting and powerful story happen here in a very simple graphic and animation way of presentation. I think like the story is about the mother with the child in the center, and there is a dad in the right side, and there is a grandparent or generation in the left side. There's a sibling close to the mother and the baby in the casket, if I pronounce it correctly. And there is the sky is welcoming. The baby is perhaps born in night. Maybe there is a dream about having a child or something like that. But just delivering it in a way that is so simple and minimal in element, with a bit of texture and lighting, is like kind of illustrative for a child child book or something. So for all that reason, I give it 88.
Thanks, Faru. Harriet, you were in the silver range.
Yeah, I think having spent more time with it, definitely going to come up a little bit more. There's a lot more story than I first noticed, and I really like the texture. There's so much texture within the image as well, which is really beautiful. It feels almost pencily. There's real shape to the cylindrical aspects. I'm not sure about the little nose on the right hand figure. That's a bit distracting, to be honest. But other than that, I mean, it's minor. Yeah, other than that, I'm definitely coming up a bit because it's quite joyful, this.
Thanks, Harriet. Craig, you were you were bang on the average there.
Yeah, I was. And I guess I saw all of those things, and I see a story of something bigger in terms of like the creation of life with those larger scale pieces and the moon and the stars and things. I thought it was maybe a little bit too on the nose in terms of the graphic, spoon feeding us the story here. I did find that little lump of nose really distracting because none of the others have them as well, actually, Harriet. But maybe I have been a bit mean and I have underscored it slightly. I mean, I was on 84, so yeah.
All right, we've got a few people wanting to talk about this. Johan.
Yes, I gave this an 88. I'm going to go up. The simplicity of it is profoundly, it's powerful. The foreground figure with, let's call it a nose, seems like an observer of something else, and maybe they're dreaming of that sort of thing. The sky and the moon and the stars, that gives us a sense of a dreamlike quality. The tilt of the heads of all the characters gives them a sense of reality they're only circles with form, but the author has made it so interesting and so intriguing and given them personality just by the positioning of those elements on the supporting structures. And it's just done so beautifully, like a pencil sketch. It's very 3D. I gave it an 88. I'm happy to talk myself up.
Thanks, Johan. Lisa, do you have anything you want to add?
Just a couple of points. I think that's a belly button. I actually think that's a belly button, a pregnant tummy. Anyway, that's great. It's all open to interpretation in some ways, but I also do find it's a little bit didactic. I think, Craig, you might have been sort of talking a little bit about that earlier. I hope I'm not misinterpreting what you've said, so I might rephrase that. I just feel it's a little bit didactic. It's very obvious. We've got triangles for girls, straight things for boys. But, maybe that's exactly what it is. It's just this really simple, straightforward, delightful, and leaning into that naivety. And we've seen a couple of images like that today, that lovely naivety, and we can all buy into them. Tiny little thing, they're not perfect, the circles, and I kind of think that's okay. So I think that that's quite a nice touch that it's not completely perfect as well. Oh,
Thanks,
I should have
Lisa.
said I'm in the mid-silver range, and I'm happy to come into distinction. Just want a bit of commentary on about just it's a tiny bit didactic or reductive, perhaps, but I could be overthinking it.
Thanks, Lisa. Faru, back to you.
I think like we all mentioned some good thing about this image. I think like that little nose that creates such a dialogue, it means this is supposed to be there because it's create dialogue. And I feel like I really like that, Lisa, when you mentioned that's a belly, that's a bottom of belly. This is another cute interpretation of this image. And it's all about saying a story in the cuteness, in a way, very cute way to say that. I feel like that to refine that nose, I feel like it's just everything leaned towards that mother with the baby in the center. And that little dot is actually the belly button, or the nose is just like getting back, like the personality, the character is just turning back to see something more precious in the middle of the image and create some support and protection. That's what I read about it. And I think like using all these simple elements to create a story, it's showing high level of creativity. And that's the category we are actually talking about. So I think, I hope I answer all those little question, but we are talking about definitely with silver with distinction at the moment.
Thank you for, you're going to hold your score at 88, and all other judges, please rescore. And we've moved up to 87, silver with distinction. Excellent work. All right, Craig, you're going to have a short break, and Vanessa, you're back on the panel for our next image, please, Mel.
The title of this image is Shapes and Angles.
We have a 79, a highly commended. And Faru, I was watching you press your button there, Faru. Faru's on 83 in the silver range. Take it away. You got to come off mute, though, which is the first time we've done that. So that's pretty good for us.
Because I'm excited. We just need 1 point, and I wanted to give you that 1 point with this image. It's very precise. It's well composed together. Every element is really perfectly sits in that spot it needs. The porcelain matte vessel, it's very beautiful shape. It's minimal. That rectangular angle in the background in white, it brings the branch of artificial flower because it's shiny and everything, and the little subtle of the shadow, which shows the perfect lighting for this image. It's very simple, it's minimal, there's nothing wrong about it to not sitting in silver, this in silver area.
Excellent, thanks, Faru. Let's go to Johan. Johan, you were just sneaking into highly commended.
Yeah. There's a lot to really enjoy about this image, the geometry, the form of it. But the thing that I kind of fell over on was the lack of precision, and it was just subtle. The bottom of the V of the white rectangle, it's not quite at the apex, and then with something that's called shapes and angles, you really want all the shapes and angles to be right. And my personal comfort would have been better, stronger, if the dissection of the plant through the black line had been just a little bit lower, so it also was at the apex of the triangles caused by the branches themselves. And then as you follow the branches out, the very outermost tip starts going out of focus, and I really wanted that to be in focus. So it's just a few bits like that. On the one more other thing was the dark shadow on the branch against the black. It just disappeared. So I gave it a 76. I don't know if I could take it to silver, but I do love the concept of it and think that it's, quite striking.
Thank you, Johan. We're going to go to Lisa. Lisa was on 78, right in the middle of highly commended.
Really briefly, Faru, I'm just missing the creative aspect. I think this is technically really well managed. I'm really happy with that. I think it's simple and graphic and quite enjoyable. And I just feel, though, when we're looking into the silver range, so it's strong, absolutely. Talk to me about the creative aspect, and I'm listening.
Thanks, Lisa, for back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for that thing. I'm going to explain all these little things. First, start with Johan. Johan, I think like I know what you mean when you wanted to see that little triangular just touch to the surface, showing up more sharp. But I feel like if that one showing at the corner of the angle to the surface very sharp, that would be distracting. Perhaps photographer playing with it up and down and find the best way to not really be in that position of distracting and dominant and take away attention from the vessel and the branch. And also I think like if the vessel was a bit down, the branch and the fruit by itself start to showing itself, that it's I think it's a perfect time, perfect position, because otherwise it cuts a bit of the fruit from the branch, and that we were asking why is like cutting the fruit. So I think like photographer, the maker, is really play with all these angle and everything to make everything in a very precise, perfect way. That we have a negative space, we have a bit like a more busy space in the center. I think the creativity is being having so perfect mind and try to achieve it in a so minimal image. That's the reason I feel like it's really rewarding to sitting in silver. And we are talking about one or couple of points. We are not talking about silver distinction. We are just rewarding for perfection mind.
Thank you, Faru. You're going to keep your score at 83. Everyone else, please rescore. Oh, we've moved. Oh, no, we're on 79. Highly commended. So we've stayed put. You did get one more judge into silver, so that's good. Thanks, judges. And for you can have a little break. And we're going to bring Chris Saunders back onto the panel for our next image, please.
Okay, the title of this image, On the Way to Perugia.
And we have an 80, a silver award. So congratulations to the entrant with pretty even scoring across the board. And let's see, I'm going to go for a comment. Let's go to Chris Saunders for a comment, please.
Yeah, the color palette and the range of textures in this is incredible. You know, the little splashes of red and pops of color in the flowers, you know, give you something to focus into, and then all the windows give you something to explore. I think to take this to a higher scoring range, I would be looking for that little cookie in one of the windows, you know, something that gives you an insight as to the people that live in the buildings behind it.
Excellent. That's really good feedback, Chris. And that is our last image in the creative category. And now my dogs are going crazy barking behind me. I apologize if you can hear them. Thanks, everyone. That was such an incredible category, such a wide variety of work. You could hear the excitement in our judges. Those of you who aren't judges, you don't know this, but when you're judging and you're challenging, the adrenaline rush you get is amazing, especially the one when you're about to put a high score in and you've got to work out if you're going to back yourself. This is a team of judges that when they saw something they loved, they fought for it really hard, which I really appreciate. I know you guys all do too. So thanks to all of our entrants for entering. If you're keen, again, if you want to see who is named first, second, third in Australia for this category, international winner, join us on the 13th of August for our final, or for our awards ceremony. If you hang around, we'll go to the different YouTube link for in-camera artistry. You can join us for that. I think we're going to kick off in 20 or 30 minutes. I'm not sure. We're going to see how we go, but join that shortly and we'll bring you some in-camera artistry. But most importantly, I want to thank our judges. So guys, you've done a spectacular job today. I've really appreciated everything that you've had to say, and you've done an excellent job rewarding images for our entrants and seeing them really well. So everyone at home, on your couch, please a round of applause for Chris Saunders, Craig Turner-Bullock, Furo Yavari, Harriet Tarbuck, Johan van Kaan from New Zealand, Lisa Kurtz, and Vanessa McCauley. And I'm Chris Anderson. Thank you to Daniel for all the behind-the-scenes work. Huge thanks to Mel for her scribing work and pronouncing everything amazingly well. And we will see you shortly for in-camera artistry. Thanks, everyone.
Wow, photographing the way I do, but with my colors, this will change everything.
I got to see each frame, each position of its wing, and they're so beautiful that I have never seen before.
Being able to move quickly and working at my brain's pace and getting those shots in the moment. Having this camera allows you to go out and create the way you want to create.
Until you use it, you cannot even imagine what you have missed.
It's something I've never seen before in my entire life. It's something totally different.
Nikon Z6 III. Outperform.
Introducing ISO Color Edge. Precision is essential for any professional working with images. Whether you're an artist, a retoucher, or a visual effects specialist, you need to know that what you see at the start of a project is precisely what you'll get at the end. Color Edge monitors give consistent, reliable accuracy that guarantee no surprises within your color workflow. So what you see in real life is what you see on screen, and what you see on screen is what you see in real life. That's precisely why professionals all over the world trust ISO Color Edge for their image creation. ISO Color Edge. Discover living, breathing color.
I'm Mark Rosetto from the Professional Photography Business Network.
A vibrant community from all around the world who's here to supercharge your business growth.
This is not an expensive one-size-fits-all course.
The PPBN is a network,
An online educational platform with training and resources to suit everyone.
from those just starting out to the seasoned pros.
You can tailor your journey to suit your individual business needs and challenges, all at your own pace.
And there's new content added every week. But success is only part of the experience.
To us, community is super important, as we all know business can be lonely.
So join us today. PPBN is your unfair advantage. Let's do this.